Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Now today I'm going to be talking about why era-specific heroes is a good thing and why it's also actually a bad thing for the game right now. So I'm going to go into the good first because that's not as much to talk about by far. But essentially era-specific heroes provides players with a bigger sense of authenticity and an even deeper immersion into the battles that take place in Star Wars. Obviously, if we're on the Death Star, you can see me playing as Han Solo right now, which, it's great. And if we had just Luke, Leia, Yoda, Obi-Wan kind of thing for the original trilogy, that would be great. It provides deeper immersion into the Star Wars universe, and I think that's a really nice thing to have, actually. But that's kind of like the main good things, honestly. And now coming on to the bad things, it's a lot of people wouldn't get to choose the heroes they want to be. Like, they'd have to try and find a set map all the time just to level up their heroes, which can be really frustrating for some players, obviously. Now let's say obviously that you wanted to level up your sequel heroes, for example, and you're only going to be able to do that in the sequel trilogy maps. Obviously we've got 4 of them, so it's not too bad. Crate, Jakku, Takodana and Starkiller Base, so there's a 4. But on those maps, for the sequel villains, you've got 2 options. You've got Kylo Ren and Captain Phasma. But then the heroes, you've got Finn, you've got Rey, Leia, Luke, Han, and Chewie. I don't think there's any more there, so you've got 6. Now, the problem here is the fact that in Galactic Assault, the first 2-3 phases are only 2 heroes are allowed to deploy at one time, whilst the final phase then bumps up to 4. Now obviously in the first few phases this isn't an issue, but when it gets to the final phase, let's say on Crate for example, when you've got to destroy the the generators, once you've got to destroy those 3, the heroes could have like Finn, Rey, Chewie, Han in the game. But then the villains are only going to have Captain Phasma and Kylo Ren, and it's just kind of, I don't know what they're going to do to kind of try and balance this out, but it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because it's just going to be a total imbalance of heroes. I know it's not going to be too gameplay affecting on the last game of Crate for example, but for things like Jakku for example, you're going to have 2 extra heroes running around the map slaughtering your troops when you've got very little defense with Captain Phasma and Kylo Ren. Like, there's just going to be imbalance, and it's just not going to be as enjoyable for the dark side by any means. I just think it's going to make maps like the sequels just even less played, because to be honest, if I see a sequel map I'm just a bit hesitant to play it. I'm not a huge fan. I want the sequels to get more content. I do love the sequels in general, but I'm just not the biggest fan of actually playing on the maps. So it just doesn't make too much sense, to be honest, and how they're going to balance it I don't know. They could definitely just limit the heroes that the Resistance can play as just Rey and Finn, but then obviously that kind of goes against the whole era specific things, because Luke, Han, Leia, Chewie, they're in the era as well, so limiting it to just Rey and Finn is just a bit, it's not quite the right way to go about it, but it could possibly be the only way to solve it. But yeah, it's just that, or I mean there's another way you can go around it where you just limit it so you can only play as 2 heroes for the sequels, but they can be any of the 6, so you could have like Rey and Han on the map instead of just Rey and Finn. So that's an option of course, but it's just not really the best way to go about it. Now I know these aren't the ideal scenarios to whatsoever to kind of go through, but honestly I just don't really know how DICE are going to play this out really. I'm hoping they just kind of come out in a week or 2 and just explain the whole reasoning why they're doing it now and what they're doing in terms of the sequels, because I've expressed my concerns to Total FPS and Ben Walk as well, and I haven't got a response, but hopefully they're going to kind of explain why they're doing it and stuff like that, to be honest, because I just don't think it makes too much sense doing it now, and the fact that there's just very limited sequel heroes as well, it's not going to be great for the sequels at all. The original trilogy and the Clone Wars are going to be absolutely fine. It's just the sequels I'm worried about. Like, don't get me wrong, I am genuinely excited at the prospect of playing era-specific stuff, because it's something I would eventually love to see in the game. But right now, whilst there's limited content for the sequel trilogy in terms of heroes, can't see how that part is going to work specifically, so it's going to be interesting. Hopefully we can see something to do with episode 9 that might just bring in a bunch of content for it or something, and essentially like almost fix this, and they can keep on testing it kind of throughout the year and as time goes on. But yeah, I don't know, that's kind of my whole thought process behind it. And the last thing I want to mention actually as well is this Battle Point event, essentially where it's just era specific heroes and stuff, is literally coming out the weekend after Count Dooku, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, because Count Dooku comes out on the Wednesday, right? 2 days later they're going era specific. No one's like, I don't know, I don't really know what kind of went through their minds to do it on this weekend. If they did it sometime in like early February, then fine, but the fact that it's 2 days after Count Dooku's come out, a lot of players will probably only be able to play on the weekends as well, so they're genuinely just going to have to go and find loads of Clone Wars maps so they can actually just play as Count Dooku. I know they've got heroes versus villains and Hero Showdown, but most players will play Galactic Assault, right? And they're essentially just limiting their content for Dooku. They're limiting the actual playable chances of Dooku even further than what they're doing already. I know it's reduced battle points, but again, you've got 4 maps for the Clone Wars in which you're going to have to search through to actually play as him, which, I don't know, it just, honestly, I just don't think it makes much sense at all. I don't really know why DICE have done it at this stage, honestly. Like, if they did it after Anakin or something, or a couple weeks before, you know, just give players the chance to actually play as Dooku more often. I know it's only a weekend, but it's still the weekend that a lot of people are actually only really going to have. So I just don't see why it makes sense, honestly. Hopefully it's going to plan out better than I'm hoping, but yeah, I don't know, I'm just a bit concerned with it really. It's limiting players' playability of Count Dooku quite drastically. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out, guys. Sorry about like the whole rambling, but hopefully you guys did enjoy, and that is my concerns about era specific heroes, kind of the event that's coming out in about 2.5-3 weeks time. But that'll be it for today's video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you are new, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Star Wars Battlefront 2 videos and streams. And as always, may the Force be with you.